So I used to think that success was only reserved for those who were the smart ones. I used to always think that intelligent people were the only ones who were going to amount to anything in life. And I had this belief because I am not that smart. I am not overly intelligent. I don't have a massively high IQ. I failed Year 12. I didn't do well in subjects. I would get extremely triggered when I was young if my friends called me dumb. And that belief was just like ingrained in me. I'm just like, well, I'll never amount to anything because, even though I wanted it badly deep down, I was like, I don't think that this life of what I dream of having, which was money and freedom and all that kind of stuff, I'd always wanted that since I was young. That's not reserved for me, unfortunately. And then I kind of went through my 20s and I got fired from pretty well every job I ever had. I didn't want to work for my dad and take over his tradie business. I was just like, I just had this reinforced belief that I'm just going to be a dropkick for my entire life. And then everything kind of changed when I started to actually apply myself and try. And by the way, I don't think I'm just an absolute dropkick and dumb. I don't believe that now. But I also don't believe that I'm like hyper intelligent either. And so I'm making this video to tell you that you don't actually need to be smart to be successful. Now, I have relative success. I have a life where I don't have to answer to anybody. I work from my laptop. I earn a very healthy income that allows me to do basically whatever I like. And that's what I always wanted. I always wanted that. That was my golden goose. That was my meal ticket to life. And it took me a long time to work it out. And if you've ever thought that you need intelligence to actually do that, then I am living proof that you don't. Intelligence actually ranks relatively low on that scale, on the scale of the things that you'll need to get a successful life that you want. The traits that you're going to need, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, is number one, courage. Courage is it is the essence of everything that is someone who's a successful person, because when you try to achieve anything that is outside of what's normal, you're going to be met with so many barriers. And usually the barriers are only barriers within yourself. And those things are fear, anxiety, their uncertainty. And it takes a lot of courage for you to overcome that by going and doing it anyway. It hurts and you go and do it anyway. And so my belief is that courage is the number one thing. There is no certainty in success. There is no blueprint that's going to show you the way. There's nothing that is pre-made for you to follow that you'll fall on into a safety blanket. It really is a situation where it's do or die. And when I say die, I don't mean actually physically die. I mean there's got to be a part of you that dies if you don't win. And it's you choosing to take that ego death or that death of what you thought was actually supposed to happen and how you were supposed to move through it. Get up, dust yourself off and go again. And that takes fucking courage, man. And so I think that's the first thing. And I think the second thing that you're going to need is, number one, being courage. And the second thing you're going to need is a complete blissful ignorance to failure. Just going forward regardless of consequence, which is a lot to do with the courage aspect, and accepting you're not going to be good. You're going to suck at stuff. And that's the point. Success is more about who you become along the way rather than the actual goal and the achievement itself. And again, I am living proof of that, because now that I've achieved some things that people would only dream of wanting in their world, I'm now looking for other avenues and other things to do to feed the fulfillment piece of my life. And I'm going to need to take my own advice now and have the courage to try new things and branch out and be a little bit scrappy about it. I know that the next thing that I do, I'm not going to be good at doing. And it's going to be new. I'm going to suck at it. And that's going to have to be okay. And no amount of money and no amount of, status or anything material is going to fix any of that for you. Any successful person has a story about how they sucked and how they had nothing, or how they came from nothing, or they have a humble approach to understanding themselves now. Any successful person, ask anyone who's good at doing anything. And I think a lot of the mindset towards achieving great things is that people want answers. The answers aren't out there. They're in here. The answers for you are in here. And that's why this game is such a difficult one. The success game is a difficult one. And I'm blanket wording success in the goal or the aspiration that you have that is a non-negotiable to you. You know that it's alive in you, but you're terrified to go and do it. Doesn't matter what that is. For me, it was just freedom and money, and success to me was getting away from jobs. And here's another example of why I know that, intelligence and previous accolades are just not like the yardstick for how well you'll do in your life towards the thing that you want. I've been fired from every job I've had. Every single job I've had, I've been fired from. And I just was lazy because that just wasn't my calling. That just wasn't my thing. You could easily call that dumb. You could easily call that just not a smart person. But I had the thing that I did have was I had nothing to lose, so I had the courage to move forward anyway. And so now it's kind of like I got to use that same approach in the new things that I want to achieve. And I'll give you another great example of why intelligence just isn't a high-ranking factor for it. If you think you have to be smart and you fucking don't. Have you ever seen one of those tradie blokes? And shout out to all my tradie mates who are smart guys. But I'm talking about the guy who, he didn't do very well in school. And he might have dropped out when he was 15. And he just wasn't academic. So you wouldn't call him book smart. Him or her. And he went on to build a company in a trade or something like that, where he's now got 60 guys or girls working for him in a big fuck off office out in some industrial estate. He's got 25 cars on the road and turning over millions per year. And that dude was able to do that not because he's intelligent, but because he went and did shit despite what the consequences could have been. He might have gone bankrupt twice doing it. And it wasn't intelligence that did it. It was the actions and the courage that he had and the ignorance to failure. And just that thing inside of him that he just decided, nah, I'm just going to go and do stuff and learn as I go. And they do. And I think smart people or aware people, they're the ones who are usually the ones who fall into the dark and the abyss of themselves and never achieve their potential because they psych themselves out before they even get to the point of actually trying. And it's the awareness of themselves and what they think they need to be before they actually try and achieve anything. And there is just a wasteland of intelligent people working jobs they fucking hate or living a life that wasn't meant for them because they couldn't decide to take action on something that would give them no certainty, but they would have a crack anyway. And that's what it's all about. Anyone that's ever done anything good at one point didn't believe in themselves, but did it anyway. All of them, every single fucking one of them. There is nobody you can tell me is successful right now that doesn't have that kind of story. So suspend your belief about what you need to be. It doesn't matter if it's intelligence, it could be something else, and go and have a go. And there isn't a right way and there isn't a blueprint for it. So just start. Have a crack. And stop getting in your own way. You're probably someone smart watching this. If you're not someone smart and you're relatively stupid, you're not even watching these videos because you're fucking doing the shit that someone told you not to do anyway. That's just the truth of it. And they're moving faster than you are right now. Sorry. I was inspired to make this because I make these videos basically for the younger version of me. Someone who always wanted something more out of life, but, you know, took a long time to work it out. And now that I'm here, I owe it to myself to make them. So I hope they're helpful in some way. And that's it. So until the next video, I'll catch you.